This is I Am Old School Hip Hop Beat. I think it's a blunted beat, so I don't know the name of the struggle. By Old School, that's what it is, Old School Hip Hop Beat. I Am is the name of the song. Old School Hip Hop Beat is the band. This got some interesting play in the Twin Peaks update from last year, which I still haven't done my review of yet. I'm trying to get all my ducks in a row. With my good friend Mike Belinsky, who's a fan of the Twin Peaks era. We're going to try to get our reviews out to you as soon as we can. I know I promise a lot of stuff, but you know what? It's my show. I do what I want. Yeah. So hello and welcome to a Saturday evening episode of Dylan Knows. As always, it is a special weekend for me. My wife and son are out camping up in the cold mountains of Pennsylvania. So I'm at home with my daughter, having one of our usual daddy-daughter weekends. This is like the third one we've done since my wife and son have been doing these camps. They do one in the winter, one in the fall, and they do something in the summer. I don't know if they do anything in the spring. I don't remember, but I could be wrong. I don't think they do, but I know they do one in the summer too. It's OS, which is a good one. So today is the first solo Dylan Knows episode of 2018. It is also episode 225 of my show. Now, I don't want to scare anybody away because if you haven't listened to the previous 224 episodes, you're not going to get lost. You just don't know how I usually am, what I talk about, and all the stuff you missed. And then you go back, if you like this, you go back and you listen to those previous 224 episodes and enjoy them, hopefully. But this is a solo show where I sit here and I talk about just a whole bunch of different things. And I haven't done one of these in a while because last week was my MJ Con episode where we talk comics. The week before that was my In Memoriam episode. The week before that was my Christmas reading my Christmas story one. And the one before that, I think, was my one might have been the last solo one. So sometime mid-December, or that could have been my top 10 with Jerry Fletcher. I don't know yet. Speaking of Jerry, her and I will be hooking up next Saturday night. So 1 week from today, we will be doing the top 10 movies of 1988. 30 years. 1988 is 30 years, dudes. Yeah, getting old. And it's not the top 10. Actually, I have to change that. It's the top 15 because when I was doing the research for it, I'm sitting there and I'm looking at stuff. I was like, my God, look at all these movies that came out in 1988 that I absolutely loved and I want to talk about. So I went to Jerry and said, hey, Jerry, can we do 15? She's like, yeah, it's fine. Rolling her eyes at me as she always does. So top 15 movies from 1988, 30 years ago. We'll be doing that next Saturday night, probably 9:30. Funny thing about that is her husband and kids are going to be out camping that weekend. So you got me by myself, and I got my one viewer. Thank you very much for watching, Mr. or Mrs. One Viewer. I appreciate you watching. And if it's your first time watching the show, please stick around for a while. It should be entertaining. A lot of interesting stuff going on. We're going to talk about stupid things. That's why the episode is called Wide World of Dumb. We're going to talk about an Oreo subscription box, which I find fascinating. We're going to talk a little bit about some celebrities like, say, Eric Clapton and Norman Reedus. Some stuff happened to them this week. We discover who Rancor posted as the greatest actor of all time in a poll that Rancor did. Talk about the movie marathon that, as I mentioned before, my daughter and I are having a daddy-daughter weekend, and her plan was, let's have a movie marathon weekend. And there's a ton of movies she hasn't seen yet. She's 11 years old now, so it's time to start opening up the floodgates a little bit more and letting her see some more things. We just finished the first season of Stranger Things. I'd already seen it. She hadn't, so we watched the last episode on Friday. And so I figured we were going to do a movie marathon this week, and we're also today. We're also going to do maybe a couple tomorrow. My wife and son come back around 11 a.m. tomorrow, so that'll be fun, and they'll be exhausted and stuff like that. Talk a little football, a little space, some recommendations that I want to have, and something scary that happened in Hawaii, which you all might know about. I want to talk a little bit about that. And I have 2 viewers. Thank you for watching, ladies and gentlemen. So I hope you stay tuned. So let's get started right away. I teased it. May as well talk about it right now. The Oreo subscription box from Amazon. How many out there like Oreo cookies? I like Oreo cookies. Now, lately, if you've been watching my solo shows, I've been talking a lot about the different flavors that Oreo's been doing. Oreo's been going absolutely crazy with their flavored creams. Some of them are really, really good. Like cinnamon bun is really, really good, and Dawn really likes the red velvet one. And there's some that are just like, not so much. And there's some that I still don't know what cookie butter tastes like. And they have a cookie butter Oreo, and I'm afraid if I get it, I'm not going to like it. So if anyone out there can tell me what cookie butter tastes like, raise your hand. Let me know. But this is really interesting. I don't know if you've ever heard of something called Loot Crate. My wife got this for me for our anniversary, 2016, actually. But it's been a little bit over a year. So we've been doing that. And basically what Loot Crate is once a month, you pay for a Loot Crate. Now, Loot Crate is a little box that gets delivered by FedEx that has a theme for the month, and it's stuff that geeks like myself really, really think are really cool. Every box contains a t-shirt and then all kinds of different things. Things I've gotten before. I've gotten Funko Pops. I've gotten model cars. I've gotten comic books. I've gotten, what else? I've gotten mugs. I've gotten oven mitts, which is really, really cool. I got the Thanos Infinity Gauntlet oven mitt, which is really, really neat. I lost it, though. I don't know where it is. Got some, as I said, Funko Pops. And every time we get a t-shirt, you might have seen a couple of them when I've been doing the show. If you go back and watch some of the previous shows, some of the cool t-shirts I have on are from Loot Crate. The most recent Loot Crate has a shirt that I don't know exactly what it's from, so I haven't put it on yet. But it's still a shirt, and it's kind of cool. The one from December, right? No, one from November. Excuse me, one from November. No, it wasn't one from December. It was Voltron. It was a Voltron shirt. I haven't worn that in a while, so maybe I'll wear that on next week's show. But that's pretty cool. So we have that, and so it's every month is a different theme. Like it's like post-apocalyptic world, and they take a bunch of genre stuff, like a Buffy the Vampire Slayer thing, and a Mad Max thing, and a T-shirt that's connected to a post-apocalyptic thing or something like that. So got some really cool stuff. So and then it spiraled out from there. Funko Pops does a Funko box. Star Wars does a Star Wars box. Every genre does their own box. Now we get T-shirts and Funko Pops and toys and all kinds of geeky type of cool things. So that's really neat. This is something completely different, though. This is an Oreo subscription box you can get on Amazon. So I guess if you belong to Amazon, maybe I should go on there and check it out. Nah, I'm not that crazy. You go on and you type in Oreo subscription box, and it comes in 3 subscriptions: a 3-month subscription, a 6-month subscription, and a 12-month subscription. The 3-month subscription is $60. The 6-month subscription is $120, and the 12-month is $240. I think you just pay that and you're done. You pay for the whole month, of the whole thing. So you pay $240, you get the 12-month subscription. I guess that's how a subscription works, obviously. Duh. But what it includes is 2 Oreo flavors. So I don't know if it's a sleeve of them or a little pack maybe that has 6 or 8 or 10 or 12. I don't know. It's just something I read on the internet, and I read the article, and they didn't really go into much detail about it. So it's 2 Oreo flavors, an Oreo one-of-a-kind Oreo gift, like an Oreo ornament, Oreo glass, Oreo shirt, Oreo hat, Oreo scarf, or whatever, something like that. And you also get a recipe card, I guess. I'm not exactly sure, maybe for stuff you can use Oreos with, or to make I'm not exactly sure. As I said, I just read the article. They didn't really go into much more detail than that. A woman got it and wrote a review of it on Amazon, and she said that the January box contained the cinnamon red hot flavored Oreo, which I'll talk to you about in a second, and a hazelnut Oreo flavor as well. And she didn't really go into other detail about what else she got, like what the special gift was. But the fact that they'll send you 2 flavors of Oreos, one that you might not, I didn't even know there was a hazelnut one out, and neither did this reviewer. She's like, I didn't even know it was out. And then the cinnamon one just literally came out this month, just in time for Valentine's Day, because it's and I have some upstairs actually, and it's not great. That's one of the things that, if you've never seen the show before, I like to try a lot of new different things. I've tried the salted caramel Pepsi. I've tried all these different Oreo flavors and all these different types of candy bars, stuff like that. I think I told you about the Hershey Gold. Hershey Gold's pretty good, but it's not great. I got to try another one. I got to try it again. But I had the cinnamon red hot flavored Oreo. It's red, obviously, for the cinnamon red hots. But the thing is, it's kind of it's hard to describe. It's like a floral cinnamon flavor. It's not like the strong cinnamon flavor you're used to for the red hots. It's more of okay, I get the cinnamon flavor, but it's not like, wow, this is cinnamon. And it's a little spicy too, so it's a little bit hot on the tongue. And it's, it's in time for Valentine's Day, which is obviously next month, but they want to get, the lead up to Valentine's Day, blah, 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 something like that. Hazelnut, I've never been a big fan of hazelnut, so I probably would try it, particularly if it's just like a small sleeve, like 6 of them. It's like, what do you got to lose? But I still know if I would pay $60, $120, or $240 for a Oreo subscription box. But you might, and that's okay. If I don't want to do something and you do, hey, it's your prerogative. It's a free country still, isn't it? This great Kickstarter Mountain Dew is pretty good. So there's that. So that's the interesting story I wanted to cover first. I also teased Rancor, which is a website that I go to every once in a while because they say we rank the top 20 best Buffy Vampire Slayer episodes, or the 50 best superheroes and 50 best superhero stories. And then what I think, if I remember what Rancor is like, you click into the page which lists, does the 50 best superheroes, and it has them numbered from 1 to 50. So number 1, say, be Spider-Man. That's their opinion. Spider-Man's their favorite superhero. But then below it, there is a thumbs up or like a thumbs down type of thing. And if you think that, he belongs at the top, you click that. If you think he belongs at the bottom, you click that. And then it creates your own rank. So you move him to number 2, and then say their number 2 was like Wolverine. You like Wolverine, you click him up to their number 1. So now it's Wolverine and then Spider-Man. But then say, oh, wait, I like Captain America better than Spider-Man. So Captain America might be number 3 on their list. You click the up on that. It goes above Spider-Man, makes it number 2. Spider-Man drops number 3, that type of thing. I think that's how Rancor works. It's interactive from what I recall. I didn't know this because I didn't see them advertising it. I guess if you're on the website or the page all the time, you see it. But they were suggesting, hey, we name our top 100 best actors of all time, and number 1 was Tom Hanks. Now that's actually not a bad pick, because long time ago, about 2 or 3 years ago, me and Patrick Smith, we did a top 10 list of the top 10 Tom Hanks roles, because Tom Hanks is great. I mean, he's had an interesting career. Start off in stand-up comedy, then got the TV show Bosom Buddies, and had a scene as Michael J. Fox's uncle in Family Ties, who had 2 episodes where you got to see a different side of Tom Hanks. He was the drunk uncle who, there's one episode where he beat, he smacked Michael J. Fox, because Family Ties was dramatic and comedy at the same time. Then Ron Howard cast him in Splash, and that made his early career popular. So Tom Hanks did a bunch of films early in his career. None were as successful really as Splash was for him for a while. And then he hit it big with Big. And that was one of his big films. And then after that, he started getting some better roles, kind of. And he took the role in Bonfire of the Vanities, which was a doomed to fail movie anyway, and it brought his cred right back down. So he had a rough year in the early 90s. And 1992 rolls around, and a little movie called A League of Their Own rejuvenated his career. He took hey, Scotty McDonald. Yay, Scotty's watching. Hi, Scott. He says, I need to send you a jar of the next batch of drinks I make. Absolutely. And then I will push it. This is Scott McDonald's drink. Yum, 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 yum. So 92, he takes a supporting role, not a lead role, because he'd been a lead role in all these other movies. He took a supporting role in League of Their Own as the coach of the Rockford Peaches all-female baseball team. And he did a wonderful job, fantastic job. And from that point on, his career skyrocketed. The 1990s was really good for Tom Hanks. He got Philadelphia, got an Oscar nomination and win for that one. He got Forrest Gump, the first actor in a long time to get back-to-back Academy Award wins for Best Actor. He did Apollo 13. He did That Thing You Do. He directed his first film, which actually is a cult classic. It might not have made a lot of money, but it's actually a lot of people enjoy the film, myself included. I love That Thing You Do. And he started working with Spielberg and did a bunch of Spielberg, Saving Private Ryan's and other types like the Catch Me If You Can's and The Terminal and stuff like that. And then he did a whole bunch of other movies. And, you know, his career has slowly been going uphill. And then it's sort of leveled off kind of recently where he's not making as much and hasn't been getting as many nominations and awards and stuff like that, but he's doing a steady job and he's testing the market. He did a science fiction film and he's done a few other things. He's played the bad guy in a film, so he did a bunch of little things here and there. And then he reteamed with Spielberg just recently in the movie The Post, which is about the Vietnam War thing where Tom Hanks, for the first time ever, teams up with Meryl Streep, which is something that's like, they haven't teamed up before? No, they haven't. This is the first time. And damn it, I want to see this movie. It came out wide this week, so I'm going to try to slip it in sometime. If I don't see it in the movie theater, I'll definitely get it on DVD and I'll definitely watch it because I just want to see Meryl Streep and Tom Hanks play off each other. And he plays Ben Bradley, who was a Washington Post editor-in-chief who dealt with that and dealt with Watergate as well. And he was played by the great Jason Robards in it was Jason Robards, right? In All the President's Men. He was fantastic in that. So cheers to you, Tom Hanks, for Best Actor of All Time. That's according to Rancor. I finally figured out what this says. A little TV here. The CW has been doing a fantastic job with their superhero TV shows. The Flash. It started with the Arrow, and then the Flash, and then Legends of Tomorrow, and then Supergirl, which started out on CBS, but it just didn't belong on CBS. It belonged to the CW, and the CW said, CBS like, we're going to cancel it, and CW's like, we'll take it, and so they grabbed it. They put it on their list, and now Supergirl's in the CW. Then they did some animated stuff on the side. They did Vixen. They're doing an animated Constantine series. Constantine has joined the Legends of Tomorrow cast, the actor who played Constantine on the NBC show. Matt Ryan, I think his name is. No relation to the quarterback who lost to the Eagles today. We'll get into that in a little bit. I don't think it's Matt Ryan anyway. It was the name of the actor, but it's something Ryan. He's going to be in Legends of Tomorrow. And then there's a new show coming out on Tuesday, which I think I'm going to start. Because I never got on the ground floor. I tried to get on the ground floor with The Flash, but for whatever reason, I watched the first 4 episodes and something happened, and I haven't watched another one since, which is a shame. I've been reading up, so I know what goes on, stuff like that. I've never watched any Arrow movie shows. I haven't watched any Supergirls. I recorded them, but never watched them. And I haven't watched Legends of Tomorrow, even though I kind of want to watch that as well. So I got all the stuff on my plate that I want to watch. And it's one of those things that I need to win the lottery so I can just sit at home and do nothing but watch TV shows. Black Lightning comes out on Tuesday. It's a live-action version of the superhero created by Tony Isabella. Presently, if you've watched my Comic Haul show, which is another show I do, where I show you all the comics that I buy during the week, there is a mini-series out written by Tony Isabella that features Black Lightning just in time for the TV show. So if you want to get in on the ground floor on one of these CW superhero shows, Black Lightning starts on Tuesday. I think I'm going to jump on that and see what I can do, maybe get caught up and maybe have that be a show that I can watch on a consistent basis. Don't bet it on, though, because I'm terrible at doing things consistently. So we'll see. So that's out. But one that's intriguing me also was I read this book a long time ago. It's written by Caleb Carr. It's called The Alienist. It takes place in the 1800s. Alienist is like basically it's like a CSI type of person, but more of a psychological person who investigates murders and crimes. And The Alienist was a brutal story about a serial killer that killed young boys. And they've made a TV show about it that's going to be on TNT. And I've just been seeing the ads for it, and I'm like, this looks really cool. This doesn't come out till the 22nd, which, let me see, today's the 13th, so that's what, nine days. So it's next Sunday. No, that would be the 14th. No, not next Sunday, next Monday. It's next Monday, the 22nd. Is on TNT. So I think I'm going to check out The Alienist because I read the book. I haven't read the book in a really long time, but I do remember reading it. I read it at one time when it first came out because I heard it was going to be made into a movie. And that's back in the old days, whenever, that's what got me into reading books more often, was if I heard, okay, they're going to make this into a movie, like Jurassic Park. I never really read Michael Crichton's stuff, which is a shame because he wrote a lot of really good stuff before Jurassic Park. But when Jurassic Park came out and Steven Spielberg's going to make the movie and stuff like that, I wanted to read the book before Spielberg made the movie. So I read the book and then I liked it. And I looked at the list of his other books. I was like, hey, let me look this up. I went to the bookstore and I checked out Rising Sun, Sphere, Congo, Andromeda Strain, a few of these other ones. Disclosure came out after Jurassic Park. But, once I started reading all these other ones, Rising Sun, Andromeda Strain, Sphere, Congo, I got hooked on Michael Crichton stuff, so I started buying more of them. So when Disclosure came out, I got that when it was in hardcover and his other stuff. And then somewhere, I just stopped buying books altogether when I stopped reading after a while. And so I didn't get a lot of his older stuff, but I have a bunch of the books back there of his back there. And same thing with The Alienist. I heard it was going to be made into a film, and I wanted to read it. And it was a lot of people said it was a really, really good book. I read it. I enjoyed it. I don't remember a damn thing about it except for the basic premise behind it. So when I saw the ads for TV shows, like, I wonder if it's based on the show. Yeah, it is. So I'm going to check it out and see what I can do about that. So that'll be good. So that's another thing you might want to check out. I mentioned my friend Mike Belinsky. He is a Snark Alec, was on Snark Alec Radio, which was the show that was my predecessor, which set up the whole thing about doing these types of shows. That was Tony Solo, Kelly Toole, and Mel, and then Mike came in, and that was Snark Alec Radio. They invited me on a number of times. They invited Dawn on a number of times. And it was about 80 some episodes, and then they stopped doing it. And about somewhere around the 60s, episode 60, 65, Tony suggested that I do this show. Obviously, I'm 225 episodes, so I took his advice, and I've been doing it now for probably close to 4.5 years now. I think my 5-year is in September. I'll have to think backwards to figure out how many. It's 52 episodes a year, so 52, 104. 159, 156, and then 20 something or other, and then, it's 4. So it's gonna be I'm 4.5 years in. So Mike was doing that, and then he started when he came on to Snark Alec Radio. He was running an internet radio station called Loud and Loaded. And so what they would do is to fill the time on this internet radio station, he would take the Snark Alec Radio show and play it on the Loud and Loaded radio a couple times a day or a week or whatever. And, you could listen to it, and it got ratings and commercials and stuff like that. Eventually, Loud and Loaded, the FCC kind of screwed Mike, so he got out of the Loud and Loaded business, but he's recently gotten back into that. But Mike is also a member of a band called Pagan, and they've been doing music and stuff like that for a while now. This past year, they released one of their albums, and they decided they were going to make like a summer vacation video that they were going to add with the release of their album and stuff like that, and put it on YouTube and release it and some other stuff as well. So Mike directed it and took bits and pieces of stuff that he did during summer, including the Snark Stock in Atlanta and the Snarky Hawk Radio reunion, which I was a part of, and made into this video. And so I got a message from him the other day saying, hey, the video's done for our pagan summer vacation thing. We're going to post it soon. It's going to, make you eligible for an internet movie database, piece. You can have your own IMDb entry. And he said, do you want me to set up for you? I was like, hell yeah. So if you go on IMDb, I'm going to be on there now. So great for me. I think my wife is also. Our friend Heather is on there as well. People who are all on this. Kelly Tool's going to be having IMDb as well. And Mike already has one, so it doesn't matter. So I'm definitely going to have to check and see if I can find it, if he set it up yet or whatever. So, hey, that's a pretty cool step for me as well. I am now a member of the IMDb family. So, yes. Or maybe I'm not yet, but Mike is going to get me there eventually. The Sapphire Gentlemen's Club in Las Vegas has decided to try something different and unique, but considering the climate of where we are now, makes absolute perfect sense. Robot strippers. Robot strippers. Hell, there's already sex robots getting ready to come out there. Why not take the next step and do robot strippers? Because they're really not sexy. I mean, I guess you can make them be sexy, but call me crazy, but I prefer to see real life nakedness. That's just me, though. Robot strippers. Robots are going to take over soon. So you just got to better watch out. Plus, there's talk that the CIA is watching, through your webcam. I don't know how true that is. I guess it's about as true as the microwave spying on you, but I don't know. Anything's possible. So, hey, CIA, how you doing? Give me some more views, man. I need to get above 100 every episode. So come on, man. No thumbs down though. Don't be doing that stuff. If you don't like it, just don't thumbs down me. But if you like it, thumbs up, absolutely. So, hi, CIA, how you doing? Doing a great job. You just got to do better taking care of what's going on in that shithole of a capital we have right now. So, what do we got? Oh, man, I'm breezing through this episode, aren't I? It's going to be like a short one. Well, I'm going to get to the second page later. Let's just finish everything on the first page first. Boom! Eric Clapton, old slow hand, who is a musician who is extraordinarily talented, probably one of the greatest, if not the greatest guitar player of all time. You can fight me on that. I really don't have any proof to back that up, but I like his stuff, and pretty much everybody else in the whole world likes Eric Clapton's stuff. You can make a case for him to be the best guitar player of all time. Hell, you can make a case for anybody, really, but he's going to be at least in your top 5. I mean, you got to give us that. If he's not your number 1, he's got to be in your top 5. I mean, it's Eric Clapton, dude. Now, as a guitar player, he's fantastic. As a human being, he's got an issue with fidelity. For those who are interested in learning a little bit about Eric Clapton, if you ever hear Sheryl Crow's song, My Favorite Mistake, that song is about her relationship with Eric Clapton and basically spells it out that Eric Clapton basically cheated on her as he cheated with everybody else. Another interesting story about that. Oh, by the way, My Favorite Mistake is a fantastic song, though. Also interesting about that is Eric Clapton also stole the wife of a Beatle. It's either George or Ringo. I couldn't tell. I think it's George. I think it was George's wife. He stole George's wife. They had an affair. George and her got divorced. He ended up marrying her. And he had an affair with another woman while he married to George Harrison's former wife. Now, George Harrison's ex-wife, if it is, I'm pretty sure it's George Harrison's ex-wife. I don't think it's Ringo's. I think it's George Harrison's ex-wife. George Harrison's ex-wife, when she was with Eric Clapton, is the inspiration for Wonderful Tonight. Yeah, I know all kinds of cool stuff, don't I? This has a point where I'm going to. So, Eric Clapton has a problem with fidelity. It happens. He does. And you also got to have you got to give your heart out to him, because he lost his young son in a terrible way when his young son fell from the top floor of their penthouse apartment or whatever, fell out of the door and died. And that's Tears in Heaven is a song about that. And that's a devastating blow to any parent. Doesn't matter, if you are faithful or whatever, your children are your children. One of the best lines from the movie Clueless is Dan Hedaya, who plays Alicia Silverstone's dad, is admonishing Silverstone's character Cher, because she keeps talking about how Paul Rudd's character, who was at one time her stepbrother, because she was the son of one of the women that Dan Hedaya was married to, but they haven't been together for a really long time. But Paul Rudd keeps coming back and visiting and calling him dad and stuff like that. And Cher finds that disturbing or upsetting or whatever. Just it makes her angry. It's like, why is he always over here? Why is he calling you dad? He's not your dad anymore. He hasn't been with your mom in years. And Dan Hedaya turns and admonishes him by saying, you divorce wives, not children, which I've always found was a great piece of advice. So it doesn't matter. Yes, fidelity is stupid. Yes, you shouldn't be unfaithful to your partner. But to lose a child the way he did is still devastating, no matter what you think of the person. My whole point, something else you got to learn about me. I get to my point eventually. It just takes a really long time. Eric Clapton is going deaf, according to him now. I guess years of concert going. There's another great line from Singles where, Campbell Scott and his buddy, I can't remember the actor's name, had just gotten back from a concert, and they're at a newsstand and they're talking really, really loud because they have tinnitus, because they can't hear each other because it's club disease. You're used to talking so loud because the music's so loud, and then when you get out of the concert, your ears are still ringing from it. So they're yelling at each other, talking to each other in front of this guy who's running the newsstand. The newsstand is, guys, why are you yelling? And they're like, oh, sorry, it's club disease. He's like, you're all going to be deaf before you get older. Well, I guess years of being in concerts and playing your guitar in front of giant speakers in massive stadiums, stuff like that, I guess eventually would affect a musician. You think there'd be more musicians who are going deaf, but Eric Clapton is going deaf. He's also in his upper 70s, so he is getting older, but still, it's kind of hard when, and it's kind of an interesting story about Beethoven, because Beethoven went deaf, and he was a composer and was still able to compose all this beautiful stuff, and he couldn't hear it. And it's always hard to, if music has been your life, to now not be able to hear what you're doing, it's got to be a shock to your system. So hopefully it won't be too bad for Eric Clapton. But he had a good life. He's not dead yet, Dylan. Jesus. He had a good career, I should say. But if he needs to retire, if he can't hear his music anymore, or it affects him in any way, you don't need to prove yourself anymore, Eric. You got plenty of money. You've got plenty of prestige. If you're not already there, you're going to be in the Hall of Fame. I think he's probably already there, to be honest. He deserves to be. He's one of the greatest guitar players of all time. And as I said before, I believe he's probably the greatest guitar player of all time. Just my opinion. Norman Reedus. This is actually a pretty interesting story. It starts off as like a joke. Norman Reedus walks into a casino in Las Vegas. And he walks in and he sees the Walking Dead slot machine. It's a real thing, and this isn't fake news. This is a real story. So Norman Reedus is like, I'm in a casino. I got some money. Walking Dead's been very good for me. Let me put a quarter in here and see what happens. Puts a quarter in. Click, click, click. He wins a jackpot. How do you win jackpots? When you get a picture of a character from The Walking Dead. You can see where this is going, don't you? Norman Reedus, who plays Daryl Dixon on The Walking Dead, won $800, right? Or $8,000, I think it's $800 when he matched the Daryl Dixon character. So I guess if you get any character in The Walking Dead, so if you pulled it, and if Carl shows up or Michonne, all, you know how the slot machines are, you get like 3 slots. It's like do. If it makes their picture, you win the jackpot. He won the jackpot with his own picture. And that's just really kind of interesting. He, on a whim, quarter in, boom, Daryl Dixon pops up. He's looking at himself in the casino in the slot machine, and he wins $800. That's just a cool story. I find it really, really cool. I'm going to do this a little early right now because I don't want to get into the meat of the episode just yet. I'm about a half hour in. For those who know the solo shows I do, who watched them before, you also know I'm a big holiday guy, big holiday fan. Love holidays, love all kinds of holidays, excited for everything. And there is a website called Check I Day. They're also on Twitter, on checkiday.com, or Check I Day on Twitter. Checkiday.com is their website. And they reveal that every day is literally a holiday, because every day literally has a holiday on it. Now, it's not might be big ones like Valentine's Day or Easter or St. Patrick's Day or Martin Luther King Day or stuff like that, but there are always holidays going on. Okay, here we go. Where are you? Okay, go to Cheer and go to Check I Day. So on Twitter, they are Check I Day, CheckIday. That's their @ and they've changed up a little bit. To get more of the worldwide people in here, because it's already Sunday over in Asia and in Australia and stuff like that. They release the holidays now early, so I can actually do tomorrow's on here as well. And I always like to do a few days back. So today's January 13th, 2018. These are the holidays. It's Public Radio Broadcasting Day, National Sticker Day, National Rubber Ducky Day, National Peach Melba Day, National Make Your Dream Come True Day. That's it for the 13th. Yesterday, the 12th of January, was Curry Chicken Day, Feast of Fabulous Wild Men Day, International Kiss a Ginger Day. For those who don't know, gingers are red hairs. Lisa Marie Bowman, this is for you. Mwah. National Marzipan Day, National Pharmacist Day, National Stick to Your New Year's Resolution Day, National Work Harder Day. And then tomorrow's is Take a Missionary to Lunch Day. And then do missionary position? No. That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. January 14th is also Ratification Day, Organize Your Home Day, National Sunday Supper Day, National Hot Pastrami Sandwich Day. Yeah. And then, National Dress Up Your Pet Day. Sweet. So if you have pets, I'm looking at you, Scott McDonald, dress Snickers up in something and post a picture, and I'll go, Snickers! It's International Kite Day tomorrow. Tomorrow, January 14th, is Feast of the Ass Day. Now, before you go bonkers, it doesn't mean this ass. It means donkeys. It's Feast of Donkeys. I mean, I guess you eat donkeys? No, you don't. Yep. It's the Feast of the Donkeys. Feast of the Ass. Feast of the Ass Day. I think I'm going to do that hashtag all day tomorrow. There's a hashtag too. I'll delete. I'll retweet out tomorrow when it's January 14th. Feast of the Ass Day is tomorrow. It's also Cesarean Section Day. And that's it for the 14th of January. Feast of the Ass Day. I should name this episode Feast of the Ass Day. Anyway, it's a real holiday. I'm serious. I'm not making this up. I'm not trying to be funny. It's true. Feast of the Ass Day. January 14th. Just hope you weren't born on January 14th. Hey, when's your birthday? It's on Feast of the Ass Day. I mean, I suppose if you wanted to feast on someone else's. Never mind. So that's it for Check Eye Day. Go to checkeyday.com and see for yourself about Feast of the Ass Day and other holidays that are coming up over the next 365 days. Or go to @CheckEyeDay on Twitter. And they pop up everything every day. They release that day's holidays early for the whole world. So I think those for yesterday came out, or for tomorrow rather, came out about 3 or 4 hours ago. So there's that. All right, I guess it's close enough. I think I've been on for half an hour. I've been on for half an hour. Now is the time for the meat of the episode, and then I got some more stuff to talk about, and then we'll get out of here. I'm trying to make this a short one. We'll see. Today's episode, Dylan knows, episode 225 is called The Wide World of Dumb. Now, the reason why I called it that is because when I was researching this week's episode, finding stories of interest, like ones I already discussed already, and the ones I will be discussing after I talk about this, I came across 2 stories that are quite disturbing, actually, to be honest. And not as disturbing as Feast of the Ass Day, but that's a different story. And it's finally gotten, one of them at least has gotten a lot of play recently because of how dangerous it is. But technically, both of these are dangerous, and people are still doing it because people are dumb. And you wonder how things are the way they are now in our country because people are dumb. Look, I'll be the first to admit it also. I do dumb stuff all the time. But this is a whole nother level of dumb. The one I'm talking about, the one that's been getting most of the play recently, is the stupid eating laundry pod thing. Somehow all these stupid competitions or things have been coming out ever since the social media has been coming out. There've been all these weird things, like the drink a gallon of milk without throwing up challenge, and the cinnamon challenge. Speaking of, we talked about the cinnamon hearts Oreo. There's a challenge out there where people had to try to down actual pure cinnamon, and it's really impossible to do because pure cinnamon, when not laced with sugar or mixed into like a pie crust or something like that, is actually not something you really want to eat straight. It may sound like, hey, cinnamon makes it taste good, it's part of the pumpkin spice flavor. Yeah, no, you don't want to try it. But that's one of the contests they try to do. It's one of these stupid things that somebody says, oh, let's try this. They get drunk, or they see something stupid. It's like, oh, let's drink a whole container of pickle juice and see what happens. And or let's drink a whole bottle of hot sauce and see what happens. And then it becomes they videotape them, someone's chugging the hot sauce, like, and then fire comes out of their ass and their face in time for the Feast of the Ass. And it gets on video and it goes viral. They post it on Facebook, Tumblr, Twitter, whatever. And people are like, holy shit, let's look at this stuff. And then all of a sudden you get 1 million views and like, hey, that's 1 million views already. Why don't we try this? I can do this. I can beat this guy. So then you get the guy say, I'm going to get a hotter hot sauce. And he drinks it, and all of a sudden he starts barfing up fire. And then their house blows up and turns into fire. Turns into kindling. And then more fire comes out of his ass for Feast of the Ass Day. And so it keeps going viral. So these sort of stupid competition things, they're stupid. In most cases, they're harmless, but this one is harmful, people. Yes, they look like little pods of candy. Oh, cool! Look, let's look this in their mouth. Oh, cool! Look, it's in a little pack and it's squishy. It's like, ooh, look, it's cool, different cool colors and stuff like that. Hey, let's put it in our mouth and see what happens. Because what happens when you put a laundry pod, or in case we use the dishwasher pods, to clean our dishes. We use the Cascade pods. So you put them in the Cascade thing instead of the actual. We used to use the crystals, but now we use this little thing. You pop in there, boom. Because what happens is it's got this plastic that dissolves in water. So when the water hits it, it dissolves it and it releases the soap into the dishwasher and it cleans your dishes. That's similar to what happened. They started with that. That was the dishwashers were the first ones to do that. For the longest time, laundry was still laundry detergent. It can be either powder. Then the powder started disappearing. They put more liquid in. So now you just spread it around like that and you wash your clothes. Now it's like, hey, instead of doing all that big mess, we've got these giant pods. We just plop right in, close the lid, start. The water comes, melts the pod. The soap comes out, churn, cleans your clothes. That's how it works. But again, as I said, it's squishy and colorful. And hey, let's see what happens when we put it in our mouth. And most people throw it up. Don't do it. If you read the boxes they come in, they say if you swallow this, you need to go see a fucking doctor. Because it's fucking poison, people. It might not kill you, but it could. It's soap. Why would you put soap in your body? Now, the threat of soap in your mouth when you said a bad word, I never had to deal with that, luckily. That's just a small portion of it, so you're not going to die from that. But if you put a full pod in your mouth and you swallow it, you're basically eating poison, for God's sakes. Use your freaking head. We need to educate more people. There are too many stupid people out there who don't know what they're talking about or don't understand the consequences of their life. We're raised on a video game world where you die a million times and you come right back to life. And so people begin to think, hey, you know what? If I die, I'll be able to come right back. Life is not a video game. You get one chance at it and you're done. You die, you're dead, you're done. You're not coming back. End of story. Do you really want to go to the freaking hospital due to soap poisoning? When you pop in a Tide Pod or whatever in your mouth and you swallow it, what are you, a freaking moron? Read the box it comes in. It literally says, if inhaled, go see a fucking doctor. Literally says fucking doctor on it. Because you're a fucking idiot if you do that. Don't do the laundry pod challenge. It's stupid, it's dumb, and it's about as dumb as doing the ice bucket challenge when it's negative 20 degrees and you're outside doing it. The ice bucket challenge is a good challenge. Do it during the freaking summer when it's like 90 degrees out, and you will get relief when a bucket of ice water gets dumped on you. Don't think, hey, I'm going to be really cool. I'm going to go out when it's 20 degrees below zero and show people how tough I am. I'm going to strip down to my skivvies. I'm going to sit here. I'm going to do the ice bucket challenge. Guess what? You're going to die. Or if you're not going to die, you're going to freeze. And you're going to lose parts of your body. It's not a joke. Use some common sense. I might not be the smartest person in the world, but I know what is the right thing to do. And if I'm looking at the edge of a cliff and I need to get to the other side, and the other side is about a mile away, I'm not going to go, I can jump it. I'll be all right. I'm pretty strong. I'm a tough guy. So I'm going to run, and I jump. Guess what? I'm dead. Because you're not going to make it. A mile's a fucking long way. Use your common sense, people. Eating laundry pods is bad. We shouldn't have to tell people that. We also shouldn't have to tell people, do not use a hairdryer in the shower. Common sense. But there's a warning on there. don't use in the shower. Because somebody did. And they probably electrocuted themselves to death. It's not funny. You're not proving how tough or how great you are, and you're not becoming famous if you videotape it and go viral. It's stupid, it's harmful, and it could kill you. Use some common sense, people. Because you want to live to see the face of the ass, man, don't you? Come on. I also know not to chug like 3 of these in a small time span, because too much caffeine, too much electrolytes, that's bad for your body as well. Now, as I said, I'm not the smartest person in the world, and I'm not a hypocrite because I don't do this shit. But I have made mistakes, and I've just learned from them. I've learned never to drink Jolt Cola at 8 o'clock in the morning. I learned that in college the hard way. Did I have common sense then? Yeah, I had common sense, but at the time, you know what? It was college. You know, I was spending my nights, you know, hanging out with friends and drinking. I wish I was screwing more, but I didn't. But I was watching movies. I was staying up till 2 o'clock in the morning because that's what everybody else was doing. And because that's just the way college life is, you know. But I had a class at 8:30, I think. So I had to get up, and I was exhausted because I only got like 6 hours of sleep. I may have been slightly hungover too. I don't know. So I had some Jolt Cola. I drank some Jolt Cola at 8 o'clock in the morning. This is before I liked coffee. I went to my class, and I swear I don't remember a damn thing about that class because I spent the whole day going the whole class because the caffeine was just making me so jolty, and I was just like, it was like I was cold and I was moving, and there's nothing I could do about it because I took this fucking cola. And I shouldn't have. Then I learned something. I was like, okay, don't drink Jolt Cola before 8 a.m. Don't drink it ever, maybe. Certainly don't drink it at 8 a.m. before a class. Now, if you don't have a class, it's okay then. But if you start shaking violently again, then don't drink it. Once you discover that you're having a effect that you don't like, I didn't like shaking. No, it freaked me out. Because I didn't know what was happening. Hell, my heart could have been going blah, 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 blah. It could have gone pff, and I could have been dead. I could have. I also learned the hard way. I've told this story before, and I'm going to tell real quick on this one since I do have some time. I learned the hard way that even though it says not habit forming, over-the-counter sleeping pills can become habit forming because it happened to me. I lost the first love of my life in college. She broke up with me. I've dissected over and over again. I'm over it. It happened, let me see. 25 years ago. I've learned a lot in 25 years. But back then, I didn't know crap because I'd never really had a serious relationship with anybody, never knew how to recover from a breakup, and I got broken up on. I didn't do the breaking up. They broke up with me, and I couldn't handle it. And I started not be able to sleep. So I went to the Giant, which was right over there, and I got the Unisoms or whatever, the sleeping pills that, you know, you can get over the counter. They're not sleeping pills. That gives it a bad connotation. They help you to sleep. But it says on the box, not habit forming. Well, guess what it is? It can be. Not for everybody, obviously. Or if not, you know, if taken not every day, that's habit forming, you dumbass. Yes, I know. If you take it once because you're having trouble sleeping, like if you've been having insomnia for like 3 days in a row and you pop some pills and you get some sleep and then you get back to a normal sleep cycle, you don't need them. But they're there in case, hey, a month or so down the line, hey, I had some trouble sleeping, boom, and pop some more. It'll help you go to sleep. I literally had to take them every night because I couldn't go to sleep because I was so devastated, so heartbroken, questioning why did this happen, because she didn't really go into much detail except she changed her mind about me. Boom. And I was blindsided. And I spent the first few months trying to get her back, which was a dumb move on my part also. Again, I didn't have common sense because I was thinking with my dick. You know, and hell, fuck, my heart as well because I loved her. Thought I did. I did. I still think about her every once in a while. But you know what? I am happily married. I love my wife. I love my kids. I've been married for, let me see, 15 years this year, 14 years. I've known my wife for 17 years. I'm perfectly satisfied in all aspects of my life right now when it comes to relationship-wise. But you never do forget your first one. You never do. Despite what people may say, you never do. But I learned a lesson from that because gradually I've had these 20-some years to constantly go over my head, think things through, why this happened. And I've come to some realizations, and I've come to an acceptable, it was my fault. I know why it was my fault. I know what was going on, and I've moved on. I moved on a while back. Obviously, 17 years I've met my wife. I've been with my wife. But every once in a while, you know, a song, something pops up, and a memory, and it just comes flooding back. But again, I learned something, and you need to learn something too. You need to learn common sense. But when it comes to eating laundry pods, that's just plain common sense. You don't need to say, oh, it's going to make me sick. Blech. I'm not going to do that again. No, you should know that that should make you sick. It's freaking soap. All right. Recovering from a heartache, recovering, you know, thinking that sleeping pills are not habit forming. That's stuff you learn. Okay. I wasn't going to die from taking the sleeping pills unless I took more than the allotted amount, which I never did. Said 2, I took 2. That's all. I never took 4, never took 6, never took 8. That would kill you. But I followed the rules. But then I discovered I was becoming too attached to them. I was having to go to the grocery store every week, basically, and buy them. And they're not inexpensive. You know, like $5, $6. And 25 years ago, that's a lot of shit. Particularly for a college kid who wasn't making a lot of money to begin with anyway. My point is, don't be stupid. Use your head. Be a little smarter. Okay? That's soap. It's not food. Soap can kill you. Read the box. It says, if ingested, go to the doctor. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Go directly to the doctor. Because if they don't flush your stomach out, you're dead. And you're not going to respawn at your starting point again. This isn't a video game. You have one life to live. Live it well. Enough of that. Now to another piece of stupidity. Raw water. Dun, dun, dun. What is raw water, Dylan? Well, I'm sure some of you probably out there know what raw water is. But let me tell you. It is untreated water that is being sold at health food stores. Untreated water. The spring water you get from the grocery store is treated. The water you get from your faucets is treated. Raw water is not. And there is a reason why they treat water. It's water. Yeah, oh yeah, it's water. You know what? They treat water because there are germs and viruses in raw water. Raw water being lakes and streams, puddles of water from rainstorms, hell, even rainwater itself. Raw water is not healthy. Someone got the bright idea, why don't we take advantage of these crazy health food people who are always trying to find a way to get healthier. Look, there's nothing wrong with trying to get healthy. But it is harder because it makes it easier to fleece you. So somebody came with the ideas, why don't we just not put the water through treatment? Because it costs money for them. to treat the water that, they recoup it probably because so many people buy bottles of water, but they're always looking for the next level. We can make more money if we don't have to get it treated. We can send it out just without being treated. We can come up with some slogans like this has natural antibiotics in it. You drink enough of this, you're not going to get sick. You're going to lose weight. People are going to see that and go, whoa, what's that? Raw water? Cool, man. Grab some raw water. Healthy? Antibiotics? It's going to make me feel better? Sweet, I'm going to buy it. You're drinking unfiltered water. You're drinking untreated water. It's dangerous also. Now, look, I also realize that in the, it's not really unlikely, I guess, but in the event you're lost in the woods, you crash land on an island like Tom Hanks, who is the greatest actor of all time, according to Rancor, did in the movie Castaway, which is a fantastic movie, by the way. You're going to need water to survive. And you're probably going to have to drink this raw water, but to survive. Or you could also be a little smart. You're able to learn, make some fire. I think if you cook it enough, you can kill whatever is in there and then let it cool and drink it that way. You can do that as well. But sometimes, yes, you're going to have to drink raw water maybe to survive. But don't do it voluntarily. If you're not stranded on an island or lost in the woods and need water badly, don't drink the raw water. If you're lost in the woods, if you're lost on an island, okay, I get it. There are ways you can still make sure you don't get sick, but you need to survive. I get it. I do. But to voluntarily drink untreated water is not smart. Again, use your common sense. It's dirty water. It's basically saying there's a puddle of water out in front of my house. You don't know what's in that water. If you go to the mountains and you drink from a crystal clear mountain lake or stream or whatever, cool. That's what people do. They try to sell it to you by using words like crystal clear mountain water. It gives you feelings of being in the mountains and everything being cool and great and makes you feel good. And that's why they create stuff like Midnight Grape. Is a great name, or winter snow for a candle smell. It brings something to your mind when you hear that, and you're like, "Ooh, I like the sound of that." So you go to a crystal clear spring water, and you take some of it and say, "Hey, let's bottle it. It's spring water. It's crystal clear. Oh, it tastes great." Fish shit in it, birds shit in it, fish die in it, animals drop food particles in it, animals go to the bathroom in it. Besides birds and things, bears and stuff like that, they go to the bathroom in it. Dirt and soot from the ground gets mixed up with it as well. There are little bugs, microscopic little things that get into your body and kill you that way. You need to treat the water before you drink it, or you're going to get really, really sick. Are you going to die? I don't think so. But you're going to get really, really sick. Your stomach's going to turn in knots, and you're not going to be able to sleep, and you're going to be going, shooting shit out of your ass faster than anything. You're not going to be able to enjoy the feast of the ass that way. Say no to raw water. It's not healthy, despite what they may say. And there are people out there who are making studies. I read this article. There are people out there who are doing studies say it's not healthy. It's a slogan to try to get you to buy this stuff. Use your common sense, people. You have brains. You need to use them. You need to get more educated, not only about stuff like that, but about the government and how stuff is done, history particularly. You need to learn this stuff. You just do. And then you'll see what's going on now. It's not right. And you're not getting sick, and you're not doing stupid things like eating soap or trying to dry your hair in the shower while the shower's on. That's enough of that. I just lost my last viewer because they're like, fuck this guy. I think it's because it was 11 o'clock. So, okay, watch for an hour. I'm done. Well, you're going to miss the second half of this, buddy. Probably Mr. Scott. So, bye, Scott. So that's page 1. Page 2. Eagles pull the upset. We're going to talk some sports now, ladies and gentlemen. As you know, or if you don't know, I am a Ravens fan. I live in Baltimore. Baltimore Ravens are my football team. My heart was ripped out of my chest and crushed when they lost their last game of the season, which kicked them out of the playoffs. So I've been watching the playoffs a little bit, not really been interested into it because why would I be interested in it? My team's not in it anymore. I'm interested in it because I'm in a pool at work where it's like a survivor pool, but you don't get eliminated if your team loses. Now, for those who don't know what survivor pool is there's 17 weeks in a football season, and then there's 4 weeks of playoffs. That includes the Super Bowl. So there's 21 weeks of football. There are 32 teams in the NFL. Now, in a true survivor competition, which you can do online or with friends or whatever, it's legal. You know, you're not breaking any laws. If you want to put a little money down on it, you can absolutely, or you can just do it for fun. So you can say, ha ha, I beat you, you suck, when you win. In true survivor, what you do is you pick one team a week to win. So week 1, you pick the Redskins to win. If they win, you move on to week 2. If they lose, you're out. You don't get to play anymore. That's a true survivor league. The league I'm in is not a true survivor league. It is similar, but you do not get eliminated if your team loses. You just don't get a point. You get a point for every time your team wins. And every time your team loses, you get nothing. So that way, if you pick 17 straight people, different teams, and they all win, you get 17 points by the end of the football season. And then you have to take that into the playoffs where the numbers are double because the playoffs are a bit more intense and there's less teams you can choose from. In the playoffs, you tend to only have, 2, 4, 6. You have 6 teams to choose from in the playoffs. So, but 12 technically because you have NFC and AFC. So the other aspect of Survivor, which I touched on just briefly, is you cannot use the same team every week. So you can't say Patriots, 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 Patriots every day of the week because yes, the Patriots are probably going to win more times out than none. They've won 12, 13, 14 games the last, 50 years, it seems. It's only been like 12. But still, they seem to win all the time, which is one of the reasons why people hate them. But that's besides the point. And they're probably winning this game. Let's find out if they actually won this game. But so in this competition that I'm dealing with, you've also got to use your head because you can still only pick one team per playoff. So you've got to think early on, okay, who is going to make the playoffs? Who do you think is going to make the playoffs? So you have them in your bet. Holy God. Patriots 35, Titans 7. Oh, my God. What a disaster. So you have to think a little bit. And obviously, the Patriots are always in the playoffs, it seems like. So you don't want to pick them during the 17 weeks. The Steelers tend to be there all the time also. The Saints used to be there all the time also. They've had a rough couple of years. Panthers, Falcons, stuff like that. So you have a group of teams you're going to want to hold on to and hold on to them for the playoffs because you get more points in the playoffs. So even if you have only like 15 points at the end of the season, you can get caught up in the playoffs very quickly and still win the competition. So you start looking, and that's where strategy comes in handy. You got to start thinking, okay, who am I going to pick? And it gets really tough sometimes. It's like, I don't want to take this guy because I think they might be in the playoffs, but I have no one else I'm confident is going to win the game because teams are so evenly matched nowadays. It's hard to really pick. And good example in my case, I only really had 4 potential playoff teams out of 12 that I could use because I already used the other 8 during the regular season because I didn't think at the time they were going to make the playoffs. Or I had to, like, you know what, I have to, because I want to keep on pace, I have to use them, and they end up winning. So I now only have 3. I picked the Steelers this week. I picked Atlanta last week. They won, so I got 2 points there. I still have the Steelers, the Eagles, and the Patriots in my back pocket. Now, I was torn because I thought maybe the Eagles might have a chance to win. If they do that, I can pick them this week, and then I can pick the Steelers next week, and then maybe the Patriots the week after. And I'm going to lose probably one of those probably. But then I thought, you know what? I don't know. The Eagles might not win, so I went with the team that probably is going to win their game, the Steelers or the Jaguars. Now, I could be wrong. Jaguars might come to play and tear them a new a-hole like they did during the regular season. But I picked the Steelers for this week, so, you know, if they win, I get another 2 points. The next week's the championship games. The Eagles won their game today, so I still have them in my back pockets. I already know who I'm going to pick next week. I'm going to pick the Eagles, even though I think they're going to lose to whoever wins the Minnesota-New Orleans game. So I think one of those teams is going to go to the Super Bowl. Whoever wins that game tomorrow between New Orleans and Minnesota, which is the game of the week, by the way, it's at 4 o'clock tomorrow Eastern time. Or 4:30-ish, sometime around there. Whoever wins that game is going to go to the Super Bowl and is probably going to win it. I think the Vikings or the Saints could beat the Patriots. Now, could the Eagles pull the upset and make the Super Bowl? They absolutely could. It's a lot harder because they don't have Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz pretty much is how they got there, kind of, because Carson Wentz has been hurt the last few weeks, and they've actually been winning some games, including today's game. Now, what's interesting, the reason why I brought up the Eagles was because they were the number 1 seed in the NFC. So they had a bye last week to rest up, and then they played a home game this week. The number 1 seed in the AFC is the New England Patriots, as always. The number 1 seed is usually always going to be the one who's going to have is not going to be the underdog when it comes to betting. They're going to be the one that they're the favorite to win. For the first time in history, the Philadelphia Eagles, who were the number 1 seed in the NFC because they lost their quarterback, to injury, that is why the number 1 seed in the NFC playing a home game, number 1 seed was an underdog to the Atlanta Falcons, who looked amazing last week. It was the first time ever in history. You know what happened? The Eagles won anyway. The number 1 seed won like they were supposed to. And that surprised a hell of a lot of people. And surprise, you're wrong, Vegas. You're the ones who make the lines. Carson Wentz, while a very good quarterback, and they have a better shot of winning if he's in there, guess what? They won a playoff game without their star quarterback. Again, do I think they're going to win against New Orleans or Minnesota, whoever wins that game? I don't think so. But you know what? That game is going to be played in Philadelphia. They're the number 1 seed. The championship goes through Philadelphia. That is if they win. Now, if they win, no, that is the championship, right? The winner of that goes to the Super Bowl, right? Yeah. The championship goes, the winner of that game goes to the Super Bowl. The NFC championship game goes through Philadelphia. The number 1 seed that was an underdog in their home stadium, won their game, as they should have. Might not have been pretty, 15-10, but they still won. The Atlanta Falcons have been eliminated. They're not repeating the Super Bowl this year. So we'll see. The winner of New Orleans, Minnesota has to come to Philadelphia. Has to play in Philadelphia in front of the Philadelphia crazed fanatic fans. That place is going to be jumping because they have been to the Super Bowl in almost 14 years. Since Donovan McNabb took them with T.O. and they lost it. So, good on the Philadelphia Eagles. NASA has found easy to access water on the planet Mars, which is something they've been trying to locate forever, because now that there's a water source, guess what? Hey, let's ramp up getting people to Mars. Get people to another planet. We've got people to the moon. The next step is to get them to Mars. Now, for the longest time, they've been searching for water all over that planet. That's why they have all those rovers. They have the satellites around, mapping the whole surface to see, hey, what's going on with this? And we find water. We need to find water, because without water, it's going to be really hard for humans to colonize or live or explore Mars. Well, they discovered that there are huge ice sheets underneath the Martian surface. Some of them are as thick as a football field. So think about that. You're watching football. You see the field, it's 100 yards. It's a big-ass field. Now think of it sort of turned on its side and expanded out. That's a lot of ice that can be used for water to survive on Mars. To be continued. I mentioned this on a previous show, but it's interesting. The government is now talking more about the fact that UFOs may actually exist. I talked about the asteroid or interstellar whatever out there by Pluto and Neptune heading towards Earth. It is a weird, wide looking spacecrafty weird comet thing that is not from the Milky Way, our solar system. It's from a different system, galaxy, and it's now in our galaxy because of the way it turned out. And it's driving people crazy. They don't know what it is, and they're going to keep an eye on it. But recently, a lot more government officials have been releasing more UFO stuff, and has also been treating UFOs as a viable, that they could exist. So I already talked about that, but I bring that up real quick. Continuing on space, January 31st, we have an event that hasn't happened in 150 years. Let's think about that, 150 years. So 2018, 1918, and then 50 years from that, we're looking at the 1860s. Somewhere around the time of the Civil War was the last time this happened. When you have 2 full moons in 1 month, it's called a blue moon. The second moon is called a blue moon. Recently, started a few years back, there have been discussions of something called a supermoon. And that's more along the lines of the apogee and its location in reference to the Earth, that when it rises and the moon rises, it looks much bigger than it actually is. And then gradually, as it moves back in the sky, it looks like the normal size moon you're used to. But it's a bit brighter. The magnitude's a bit brighter. And it just depends on angle of sun and stuff like that. There's only a few supermoons every month, every year. About 3 usually. Some are bang, bang, bang in a row. Some are bang, skip, bang, skip, bang. Some are bang, bang, bang. Depends on the rotation of the sun, moon, everything like that. January 31st, a full moon, which is called a blue moon, is also a super moon, is also a blood moon, because you're going to have a lunar eclipse that same day. Full moon, blue moon, blood moon, super moon, all on January 31st. Pretty cool. Space is cool. Keep an eye on that. Go out and check it out in a couple weeks. Boom. Over the 13th, so 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 days from now, we will have a blue, super, full blood moon. Pretty cool. Too bad it's not going to be on the Feast of the Ass Day, which is tomorrow, by the way. Don't talk about that yet, or should I talk about some other stuff? Let's talk about some little other stuff before I get to the other big story that just hit a few hours ago. Merriweather Post Pavilion is a concert hall here in Columbia, Maryland, which is about 20 minutes away from here. It's, a lot of big bands have been there. My favorite band, REM, always went to Merriweather. Tom Petty's been to Merriweather. There's been lots of bands in Merriweather. It's a huge concert pavilion, and it's in the middle of Columbia, which is, considered to be by some Money magazine, for one, it's called the best city in the United States at one time. We had some wind yesterday, Friday, and it damaged the roof of the Merriweather Post Pavilion. So they're going to have to do some repairs on that. Not a big deal, but still, the fact that we had such massive winds that caused damage is kind of interesting. This is a sad story. And again, I guess you can focus that more on the world of dumb, but this really isn't dumb. This is more, what the hell's the matter with people? A man shot his mother over the fact that she took and broke his gaming headset. Freaked out, killed his mother. I have no response to that, and I'm not going to talk about it anymore. That's just what is wrong with people, what is wrong with this world. It doesn't make any sense. Iceland. A friend of mine from work was discussing the fact that now that January's hit, vacations have restarted for everybody, and this person wants to go on a vacation to Iceland. They saw some stuff about how expensive it was. They hadn't really heard that much about it, so I started telling them about what I'd heard about Iceland and showing them pictures about how gorgeous it is and how neat it would be to go. And I started thinking about it, and then when I was at my desk at work, I just kept thinking about it. I was like, oh my God. So I looked through pictures of Iceland just to look at how cool it was. They get an Aurora Borealis. I love Aurora Borealis. So on my screen at work, I have an Iceland scene. And then I went to Amazon and tried to see if there were a couple of books about Amazon, because one of my favorite things now is I love to read books. And I've discovered that I find nonfiction more interesting than fiction now, which is, being a 44-year-old man now, I never imagined 24 years ago that I would be interested in nonfiction books. I feel like that only old people read nonfiction books. But nonfiction books are a lot more interesting than fiction in some cases, because you learn some cool stuff. Again, that's about learning things. Like, you learn about different places. I'm reading a book presently about small town in Alaska, not unlike Sicily, Alaska, which I'll be talking about in a little bit. I read a book last year about a dad who decided to take his daughter, teenage daughter, on a summer hiking trip. Well, actually, not a hiking trip, on a summer trip to Alaska. A cousin of her father lives in the woods of Alaska, living off of the land, and he needed help building his new log cabin before winter hit. So they came and worked, and we learned how hard it is to work in Alaska during the summer. It's not all, it might be 24-hour sun, but they have lots of rain, lots of mud, lots of mosquitoes. Animals are still prevalent out there. They're getting ready for winter. And occasionally, because of where they are, storms pop up. Sometimes even snowstorms pop up out of nowhere. Bad storms, wind, heavy surf, stuff like that. Then they went back in the winter to do some helping again, the cousin again, do some hunting and just to get a experience. And then they went back one more time and did a whitewater rafting trip. It's a nonfiction book. It's a travel log, and it was excellent. I read recently from the library a book about the National Park Service. Again, nonfiction stories about the National Park Service I never knew about. Found it fascinating. I'm reading a book about the summer of 1927 when Lindenberg was the first person to fly over the Atlantic Ocean. Babe Ruth was going for a home run record, and a whole lot of other crazy stuff was going on. That's been really interesting. So I decided, let's check out some books about Iceland, and I found two. One is a travel log about three guys who decided they wanted to go to Iceland because Quentin Tarantino said in an interview that Iceland, what sums up Iceland for him is supermodels serving you food at McDonald's or Burger King or whatever it was. So they want to see it for themselves. And so they discover all kinds of crazy stuff in Iceland. And they wrote about it. And then I read a story about a guy, comedian, who after Iceland had their financial collapse, decided it was time for him to cheer up the country because it was in a depressive state. So the stand-up comedian decided to run for mayor of Reykjavik, which is the biggest city in Iceland. And he was not really serious about it. He was making promises like he would bring the dinosaurs from Jurassic Park to a park in Reykjavik, and doing all this other stuff. And a funny thing started happening. People started liking him, and polls showed him overtaking other more experienced people. So then he decided to keep pushing it a little bit and made a comment like, if he does get elected mayor, his cabinet is only going to consist of people who watched all 5 seasons of The Wire, which is a TV show that was filmed here in Baltimore and is considered in some cases to be the greatest show on television of all time. He wrote a book about his experiences because he ended up winning the election. So I want to read this book as well. So I find it interesting. So I have to thank my coworker. I already have personally, but I want to do it here. I thought it was kind of an interesting thing that a simple discussion about Iceland turned into this whole big thing. Walking Dead has been picked up for season 9. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 will be coming out in 2020. All right, got recommendations, a scary story from Hawaii, and movie marathon. Let's talk movie marathon. As I said, today is like the 3rd or 6th annual daddy-daughter weekend. I mean, I guess the fall you could also consider as a daddy-daughter weekend as well. And, I focus all my time on my daughter. Whatever she wants to do, we do. She wants to do laser tag. She wants to go to the zoo. She wants to go out to dinner. She wants to go see a movie. We'll do it. This time, because it's chilly here in Baltimore, it's in the 20s after a beautiful 60s yesterday. It dropped 40 degrees basically. But that's weather in Baltimore because it's going to be in the 20s. We're going to get some snow next week. And then by the end of the week, it's going to be back up in the 50s again because that's how Baltimore, Maryland is. Anywho, my daughter said, you know what? It's going to be cold anyway. And I really don't feel like doing anything. Why don't we watch some movies? Let's have a movie marathon. Now, my daughter's 11. And my wife and I are both kind of big, geeky, nerdy type of people. And we have similar taste in movies. We love 1980s movies. We love superhero movies. We love science fiction. And we've slowly been trying to integrate our kids into that. Now, my son's a little bit harder to do because he's only 8 and he doesn't really like watching a lot of movies. And he gets scared easily also, which is fine. So we don't really show him a lot of stuff. As I said, my daughter and I, we finished Stranger Things season 1 yesterday, Friday. So there's a wide variety of movies that my daughter has not seen yet that my wife and I both agreed, she's 11 years old, it's time to start expanding her horizons a little bit. Now, she's seen all the Harry Potter movies. She's seen every Star Wars movie except for Rogue One, which we haven't seen either, and Revenge of the Sith, because Revenge of the Sith was too dark for our kids, I think. But my daughter's probably okay to watch that now, but we just haven't gotten around to it yet. She's watched Clue. She's watched The Princess Bride, Princess Diaries, Spaceballs, and like the Disney and Pixar movies, of course, obviously, because she's a kid. But we're trying to expand stuff a little bit for her. So I came up with a whole bunch of movies that I thought that she would like. I posted a picture of it on Instagram. It was about 24 movies that I chose for her to choose from, what she wanted, stuff that we'd had discussions about before, and stuff that I thought she'd be interested in. She hasn't seen any of the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies except for Guardians of the Galaxy. So I figured with the arrival of Black Panther next month and Avengers Infinity War in May, and even Ant-Man and Wasp, if you want to go that far too, in July, that, in order to get her ready to see them in the movie theaters with us, we got to get her to see the MCU. Now, she'd already seen Guardians of the Galaxy, so the first movie we watched in our movie marathon, we watched 5 movies today. The first movie we watched was the Guardians of the Galaxy sequel, Guardians of the Galaxy 2. She enjoyed it. She liked it. She was sad when Yondu passed, because Yondu was one of her favorite characters. But she understood, and she likes Mantis. And she liked Nebula, actually, in this one as well. So we watched that. And then she was like, we've been discussing. I was like, all right, I want to see Iron Man now. The original from 2008. So it's 10 years. It's 10 years old this year. Iron Man is 10 years old this year. So the Cinematic Universe is now 10 years old. Marvel Cinematic Universe is 10 years old, which is absolutely mind-boggling to me. So we watched Iron Man today. I hadn't seen the original in a really long time. Might even have been 2012, back when the Avengers came out. Might have been the last time I saw it. But I hadn't seen it in a while. And she never saw it. She really liked it. And then she's like, I want more. So we skipped Iron Man 2 and went right to Thor. She really, really liked Thor. So that was a good one to watch. So we watched that as well. And then I had been talking up one of my favorite movies from the 1980s, The Monster Squad. So I got her to watch that. I said, hey, it's a lot like Stranger Things, which it is kind of. The Duffer Brothers, who created Stranger Things, they wanted to make a show similar to the science fiction horror movies that they grew up on in the 1980s. Monster Squad being one of those. So I said, hey, the directors of Stranger Things and the creators of Stranger Things probably saw the Monster Squad and probably used it as an idea for Stranger Things. Not entirely the only one to come up with the idea for it, but it gave them inspiration. And she saw it and she liked it. And then to change her palette one more time, we watched Who Framed Roger Rabbit as the last film, and she liked that as well. So we have plans. I want to show her the original It with Tim Curry tomorrow. It's about, without commercials, is about 3 hours and like 10 minutes. So we'll be able to handle that. And then maybe drop Captain America in there for her to continue her MCU education, or try to get her to watch other films like Miss Peregrine's School for Gifted Children, or One Crazy Summer is another one to try to get, or Tomb Raider. There's a whole bunch of other ones. So we'll see what she does. And then, down the line, we might do another movie marathon down the line as well. But for now, that's good. So I kind of enjoyed this day, and I didn't have to spend any money, really. We didn't go out to dinner. I was planning on doing that, but she wanted to stay and watch more movies. Like, okay, baby, that's fine. We'll make macaroni and cheese because you love macaroni and cheese, and we'll have some ham. We cooked up some ham and macaroni and cheese. It was fantastic. Recommendations before I end today's episode on a scary note. Or should I reverse that? Yeah, let's reverse that. We don't want to end it on a scary note now, do we? No, we don't. I didn't know about this because I've been offline, as I said, all day because we've been watching these movies. Till I got on to do some last-minute research for tonight's show. Hawaii was sent an emergency alert today at 1:07 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is 8:07 a.m. their time. Basically, it said, there is a ballistic missile on its way inbound to Hawaii. Seek shelter immediately. This is not a drill. It did not get retracted for 38 minutes. It was not a drill. It was an error. It was a false alarm. For 38 minutes, the people of Hawaii, American citizens, thought that their country was going to be attacked by a ballistic missile from the crazy people over in Korea, that our crazy president has been crazy comparing their dick sizes to each other, say, I got the bigger dick than you do, which is a very dangerous game to play considering both people have nuclear weapons. And to get an alert at 8:07 in the morning, which is when I got up this morning, my time was 8:07. It was their time 8:07. It was 1:07 our time. We were watching our movies at that time. But at 8:07 a.m., my time, I was just getting up. Just consider, what if that happened here? What if it was 8:07 a.m. today? I was just waking up. It was me and my daughter by ourselves. My wife and son were up in Pennsylvania at a cabin having fun with the Boy Scouts. And I got an alert saying, guess what? There's a ballistic missile inbound for Washington, D.C., which is about an hour away from here. Now, it probably wouldn't affect us right away, but my sister lives in Virginia. I've got friends who live in Washington. I've got friends who live near Washington. My cousin lives near Washington. That would freak me out. Particularly also is, what if they said it was going to hit Baltimore, which is a little closer than Washington is. But again, I'm far enough out that I don't know if it would be a direct hit on us, but it doesn't matter. It is the beginning of a nuclear war, and the end of the world would have happened. For 38 minutes, the people of Hawaii, United States citizens, were in a panic, thinking that they were going to get nuked out of existence. And what did our illustrious president do? Didn't say a damn thing about it. Not a damn thing. He just kept talking about fake news bullshit. No, I'm hearing thumping. I guess the government's trying to come and get me. Sorry, CIA, did you not like what I'm talking about? It's my cat. I mean, all the doors are locked. Well, I'm not worried about it right now. It's not cool. These are United States citizens. For 38 minutes, they thought they were going to die. And you say nothing. Just your usual BS that you always talk about. I'm so sick and tired of this. I want this nightmare to be over. It's never going to be over now, is it? Keep hearing big words. Oh, this is going to happen. This is going to happen. This is going to happen. We'll get to it. It's not happening. And every day that psychopath is still in office, things like this is going to happen and become the norm. And it's not normal. Fix the system. Common sense. Learn some shit. All I got to say about that. 38 minutes. 38 minutes. It's a lifetime when you think your life is going to be over with in the blink of an eye. Finally, on a happier note, recommendations. I talked earlier about Snarkalic Radio. After Snarkalic Radio folded, I had my show, Dylan Knows. Kelly Toole did a show called Nurture and Support with Mel, which is a recommendation show. Now, I've stolen from them a few times as well. They do about a half-hour show where they recommend stuff, websites, books, movies, records, clothing, whatever. I'm just going to do a little some quick recommendations for people out there who might be interested in. It's the new year, and they want to learn some new stuff or discover some new things. Not necessarily just for them. Also, particularly a number of these are for kids because my kids have discovered these recently. My kids have known about these for a while, but they still keep coming out, and I still keep buying them, not just for my kids, but for myself, because these are excellent books. Brad Meltzer, Chris Iliopoulos' I Am books. Brad Meltzer takes a historical figure and tells a story about them, about their life, their history, and how they changed the world. And Chris Iliopoulos, who is a comic book artist, kind of a cartoony one, draws it, and they're absolutely gorgeous. They've done Amelia Earhart, Jackie Robinson, Lucille Ball, Harriet Tubman's the newest one. The newest book comes out on Tuesday. It's I Am Harriet Tubman. Martin Luther King. So for Martin Luther King Day on Monday, that book's already out. You can go get that as well. I Am Abraham Lincoln. I Am George Washington. I Am Diane Fossey. I'm trying to remember who else is out there that they've done. I Am Gandhi. I Am Sacagawea. And they're gorgeous. The artwork is stunning. The story is interesting. It's historical, and you learn something. And it's good for kids. It's a good introduction to history and learning about historical figures. I'm a history major, and I highly recommend learning history, not just because I'm a history major, but because it's knowledge. And you'll learn why things that are happening in the United States right now are wrong and illegal and should be prosecuted as such, but are not because people are too stupid or too scared to say anything. On the same note, Judd Winnick, you all may remember him from the Real World San Francisco season. But Judd was a cartoonist and got a job at, I think, the Chronicle, San Francisco Chronicle, doing a cartoon. And after the show was over, he was able to create his own comic book character, and he independently published it. And then that got people's attention, and Marvel and DC started knocking on his door, said, hey, can you write stuff for us? So he started writing books for Marvel and DC. Now, some of them have been hit or miss. His run on Exiles from Marvel, which he started and basically wrote almost every episode, is probably some of the best writing he has ever done in comic book format. His run on Green Lantern, right? Green Arrow. Green Lantern. His run on Green Lantern with Kyle Rayner as Green Lantern was stellar. His run on Green Arrow was okay. He did a little bit of run on Batman, which wasn't fantastic. He did a little bit of run on Justice League. It was okay. So he's hit or miss. But he created another character, but instead of printing it and making it a comic, he turned it into children's books. The stuff you can get from Scholastic, which if you have kids who are in elementary school, you know, they do book fairs maybe twice a year. And this book, Hilo, is probably always on that list. You can also find that at bookstores and Amazon also. Hilo is Judd Winnick writing a story about a robot boy and his friends as they try to stop a robot conqueror from conquering dimensions. It's cute. It's fun. It's fantastic. Absolutely wonderful. My daughter started reading it. And my son, who hadn't really been a big reader, it's now his favorite book. There's 3 books in the series out now. Number 4 comes out on Tuesday also. So I'm going to be getting that. I'm going to be getting I Am Harriet Tubman, which is the new I Am book from Brad Meltzer and Chris Iliopoulos. Now, Chris Iliopoulos also is following the footsteps of Judd Winnick. He's doing his own writing and drawing children's book in a similar comic format, but it's in a hardcover book, much like Hilo is. And I forget what it's called, but the first book came out. It was about a magic like ring that was found in a cereal box that gave the person who put it on magical powers. So those are good things as well. For the grown-ups, a couple of TV shows. Leverage is a show I haven't really talked about in a while. Timothy Hutton, the star of the show, was basically about Timothy Hutton was a lawyer who used to work, not lawyer, but it used to work to solve, people who were scamming companies out of money and stuff like that. He was the best person to find and capture the people who were stealing the money and conning people. And eventually, the company he was working for refused to help pay for the cure for his son, who was battling cancer. His son died of cancer, and he could have maybe lived and had the treatment he needed if the companies he worked for gave him money for his son's cancer care. But they didn't, and that made him angry, and his wife left him, and he became an alcoholic. But then someone who knew him back then came to him and say, hey, this company screwed me. I need your help to screw them back. And eventually he gathered a group of criminals that he'd fought before, con men, stuff like that, men and women, and he had them work to basically be Robin Hood, rob from the rich and steal from the poor. They took jobs from people who were getting screwed by big business unfairly, and they came in and they turned the tables on big business. It was a fun series, very interesting, a lot of fun, drama, comedy, romance, action, everything you could find. It was probably one of the most perfect TV shows. Lasted about 5 or 6 seasons. It was amazing. I haven't watched it in a while, and I haven't really thought about it a lot till recently, and I still think it's out there. I don't know. I don't think it's on any of the streaming services. It might have been on Netflix for a while, but I don't know if it's still there anymore. Check Netflix, maybe check Hulu or Amazon to see if it's on there. It's called Leverage. If not, all the DVDs are out. I own all of them except for the last season. I think I need to pick that up from Amazon as well. I have to verify that later on. Speaking of another great TV show that, in this era of reboots and, new seasons after like 10, 15 years, Twin Peaks is a good example of that. Will and Grace came back. Roseanne Barr show's coming back. What's that one? With the woman and her daughter. I can't think of it right now. It'll probably come at least expected. And the X-Files is another one. All these reboots of old shows or new seasons 10 years after their show ended with the same cast have been making their way around television right now. And one show I wish they'd kind of do a reboot on, and tell you what, I have an idea for it, and I'm going to tell it to you too. It's a show that came out in the early 90s called Northern Exposure. Now, people who've watched my shows before, I've talked about this show before. The first season was only about six episodes. There were 2 really, really good episodes, and the other ones were just meh. They were okay. The second season was only about 5 or 6 episodes also. There were a few more really, really good ones in there, but again, kind of eh. The third season rolled out. It was the first full season, 22 episodes of Northern Exposure, and is, to me, considered to be one of the greatest seasons of television of all time. I will be doing a list show on that eventually down the line, and it will be in the top 3. I'm telling you that right now. Season 4 started off strong, but then declined badly. Season 5 sort of got its mojo back, but it was sort of hit or miss. It was 50-50. Season 6 was just awful, and that's when it ended. Now, for those who don't know, Northern Exposure is a story about a New York doctor by the name of Dr. Joel Fleischman, who could not afford his medical education, so he had to get a scholarship. But no one was accepting it. Everyone he tried to go for, someone had already beaten him to it, or he just didn't have the right credentials for it. Till he found one where the state of Alaska was going to pay for his medical education. The only thing he had to do was, after he got his doctorate, he had to go to Alaska and pay back the loan by working in Alaska as a doctor for about 4 years. Now, when Joel heard this, hey, you know what? It's Alaska. he and his fiance flew out to Anchorage because that's basically where he thought he would be going because, hey, not too many real big cities in Alaska. And they discovered, hey, we loved it out there. It had all the stuff that New York has, and just less of it. It has bagel shops, and it's got pizza places, it's got movie theaters, it's got malls, it's got stuff like that. And it's temperature isn't quite as bad as people think. It might be cold winters, but you know what? I'm only going to be there for 4 years. I think we'll be able to survive that. So he's going out there thinking he's going to be working in Anchorage with other people and just living the life out there. No, he discovers that it was the state of Alaska, and wherever the state of Alaska needed you, that's where you would go. So they sent him to Sicily, Alaska, which is a really small town in the middle of Alaska with a population of about 700 people, a lot of them Native Americans, and all of them kind of different and unusual. The leader of the town, he wasn't the mayor, but he was the guy who basically created the town and is the big name, was Maurice Minifield, who was a former astronaut who bought the land and wants to turn Sicily into a big town, not like Anchorage, but a chic ski type of town like an Aspen. And that's what he's trying to do. And that's what he figured the first step would be, to get a New York doctor to come in, and that would draw people's attention to come in. Maurice was also kind of a cheerful racist. He was racist, but he learned from his racism, and he said what he thought, but he learned his lesson a lot of the time. So there's a whole gaggle of bizarre characters. Chris, the philosophical radio announcer who spouts really bizarre music, but then spouts off on all kinds of weird philosophical stuff. Is also a licensed clergyman that he got from the back pages of Rolling Stone magazine. He's also a wanted felon. And there's Holling Rancor, who is 63 years old, who is dating a 18-year-old girl. And Holling has longevity in his genes. His father died at the ripe old age of 122 years old. So he's got longevity in his genes. You have Maggie O'Connell, who is the rich girl from Michigan who wanted to rebel against her father and decided to become a bush pilot in the middle of nowhere, Alaska. She also is a feminist and also at the same time wants to be loved and have a boyfriend and get married, stuff like that. And a whole gaggle of Ed Chigliak, the Indian who wants to be a film director, but instead turns out to be a medicine man, and just a whole bunch of gaggle of characters. And it's a great show. It's not on any streaming services, which is really bizarre. But I think they need to reboot Northern Exposure. I already have the great idea how to do it using the book Braving It, which I've already read, about the dad and his daughter who go through Alaska and learn about that. Well, in the middle of season 6, Rob Morrow, who played Dr. Joel Fleischman, left the show. His character also finished his tenure in Alaska and was able to go back to New York City. How about, so now the last season was like 96. So that was 2006. It was almost 22 years ago. So 22 years has passed. Why don't we have Joel Fleischman come back to Alaska with his teenage daughter, because he's married back in New York, and he's told her stories about Alaska, and she was interested in going to it. And they decide to do a rafting trip, and somehow they get separated, and his daughter is discovered by Ed and taken to Sicily, and eventually Joel finds his way to Sicily and is reintroduced to the town and stuff like that. He doesn't have to work there, so it can be a limited series. It can be like 18 episodes, like Return, like Twin Peaks was, where you can do 13 episodes or 10 or 6, whatever. And Joel can be a part of it, but he doesn't have to stay because he's got a life and a family back in Alaska. But he can stay and hang out for a couple of episodes and get involved in some of the stuff going on there. But he doesn't have to be involved in every day-to-day thing. You can learn new characters, stuff like that. So That's my idea. I got 3 more suggestions, all comic books, and then I'm going to cut this short because I'm getting close to the 2-hour mark. So, Strangers in Paradise, one of the best comic book romance thrillers of our time. Finished up their run, I don't know, about 10 years ago, something like that. The writer-artist Terry Moore has decided that I kind of miss my characters. So the new Strangers in Paradise, new issues of Strangers in Paradise, 10 years after, I think it was probably 5 years. 5 years after it was that he stopped doing them, he finished the story because he told the story he wanted to. He had an itch to tell another story. The first new issue of Strangers in Paradise in 5 years comes out this week. And I am so stoked to see what Terry Moore's got planned for these characters that I've loved. I've got 6 trade paperbacks that collects the entire series on my bookshelf back there. It was one of the first comic books I got Dawn into reading. I got these books when I worked at Diamond in the early 2000s. I got into them there because we were getting free comps of the comics, and I started reading them, and I enjoyed them, so I wanted to read the other stuff, so I got trades, and I would bring the Strangers in Paradise comics home to Dawn, and she would read them the night I got them, and she enjoyed the series. So this week, Strangers in Paradise is back. So I would recommend you go to your local comic book store, you check out the new issue of Strangers in Paradise coming out on Wednesday, and while you're at your local comic book store, or you can even go to Amazon, they probably have there, buy the original trades for Strangers in Paradise and read them as well. You can get the omnibus, you can get the 6 trades, which combines all the trades together into one big storyline. The omnibus might be really good. It's $100, but you get everything, whereas the 6 trade one, you might miss a thing or here, but nothing major. You get the general idea of the story. I recommend doing that. Strangers in Paradise is back, and I cannot wait. I've talked about this too. Batman is probably the best comic out on the market right now. Tom King is killing it with his new take on the character. It is a completely different take on Batman. He no longer is really the brooding detective type. He's now starting to embrace his life a little bit and realize there's more to Batman. And the fact that he has proposed to Catwoman and she has accepted, and now we're dealing with the aftermath of that in a very true and adult and non-comic booky way, in a real way. I'm loving it, and I don't want them to ever get apart. I want to actually see them get married and have kids and have a life together and still be Batman and Catwoman. You can still do it. So keep it up, Tom King, as long as you can. Keep them together, man. I'm telling you. Finally, Crosswind. I just finished reading that. It the first series was 6 issues, written by Gail Simone with art by Kat Staggs. It takes the body switch stories from the 1980s, like the Freaky Fridays, stuff like that, where the child switches bodies with the parent, so the parent's soul is in the child's body, and the child's body is in the parent, and they're like, oh, I get to be a parent, I get to do all the stuff that I want to do and tell my kids what to do, and so like that. And the kid's like, no, and the adult's like, I'm a kid again, I can do whatever the hell I want to, and stuff like that. But then they learn the lesson that life was better when we were adult and child again, and so they have to figure out a way to get back together. Well, in this case, Crosswind takes that and turns it on its head. Instead, a hitman for the mafia trades bodies with an abused housewife. So the male hitman, is now in the body of an abused female, and the abused female is now in the body of a fearsome hitman, and they have to recover from that. So great story. It's been picked up for a TV show. I think it'll be an excellent TV show. It probably won't be ready probably till next year at the earliest, but the fact that it's being considered is a great idea. For 5 minutes to midnight, it is time for me to leave. I've been on for 2 hours now. I am done. I hit every piece of my episode. So fantastic. Join me here next week, next Saturday, probably around 9:30 p.m., where Jerry Fletcher and I will be covering the top 15 movies of 1988. There's some good ones. If you want to get an general idea of what we're going to be talking about, go to Wikipedia, type in 1988 in film in the search engine. It'll bring up the Wikipedia article. You can read it and see all the films that came out in 1988. let's see, a little bit of a teaser. How about Scrooged, Working Girl, Rain Man, Crocodile Dundee 2, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Coming to America. It's just the tip of the iceberg, baby. So, for Dylan Lang, this is Dylan Lang. Next week, top 15 movies of 1988 with Jerry Fletcher, 9:30 on Saturday. Sometime this week, I will be doing a brand new comic haul, which you'll see the first issue of The New Strangers in Paradise, as well as I'll be picking up the new Hilo book for my son and daughter because they both like to read it. And I recommend you go out and check that out as well. You go check on Amazon, your local bookstore. They'll have it in the kids section in the back. And I think, let your kids read it. They'll enjoy it. And you read it, you'll enjoy it also. Thank you for watching. Have a great day. Have a great weekend. Stay warm. We got 2 more football games. 2 teams already set, the Patriots and the Eagles, set for the championship games. So we'll see who they will be playing tomorrow. As for me, I will see you soon. Have a good one. Common sense, people. Don't be stupid.